So, my son refuses to sign a prenup, so I'm not giving him part of his inheritance fund. Until he agrees, I will get a prenup with his fiancée. He says I'm being strict, but I don't really care. I don't want to see him get screwed over. Alright, some background. I got 4 kids. My oldest, John, he's 27. He was with my first wife who died when he was 5. I eventually remarried and got 2 stepdaughters, Lisa and Anne. Then my second wife and I had Mike. He's 13 male. My wife and I made sure to give them comfortable lives. When John and Lisa graduated from university, we gifted them condo units. We'll do the same when Anne and Mike graduate. Also, all of them have trust funds that are going to be released when they turn 30 years of age. I'm quite proud of my kids. John and Lisa graduated from the top of universities. John has a high-paying job as an engineer, while Lisa pursued a master's degree in business, while she did work in marketing. Eventually, she started her own marketing consulting firm, while being a part-time owner of a spa. John recently got engaged to his girlfriend of 2 years, and they want to get married by the end of this year. She seems nice, however, she doesn't earn nearly as much as he does. My son spends a ton of money on her. Dates, expensive gifts, you name it. I understand it's his money and he could spend it however he wants, but she also moved in with him to the condo that I gave him. And as far as I know, she doesn't pay her share of utilities and association fees. And now John's asking to get part of his trust fund so he could use it for the wedding since his fiancée doesn't have much money to contribute for their wedding. Now, here's where I might be the a-hole. I told him I'd release part of his trust fund early if he draws a prenup with her. He got angry and told me I was being unfair because I released half of Lisa's fund last year to help out her business. He told me that I was playing favorites, and I told him that Lisa did something worthwhile with her trust fund. And yeah, I understand while a wedding is worthwhile. I told him it doesn't seem safe to use his fund for a wedding to a girl who, quote, doesn't bring much to the table. I told him that I just wanted him to have some security by drawing up a prenup. He got angrier and said I was implying that his fiancé's no better than a gold digger. My wife and the rest of the family refused to take sides, so I come to you guys and ask, am I the a-hole? What's up guys, Mr. Reddito here. So I do have an update for this. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and let's go ahead and hop in this update. Click that subscribe button for a little bit of support. Alrighty, here's the update. First, I apologized to him for making that comment about his fiancée. I realized it was demeaning and uncalled for. Second, I asked about their living arrangement. He did admit to paying for everything, including bills and food. She does the cooking sometimes. He even pays for someone to clean because neither of them wouldn't. I asked if she ever offered to pay and he said no. I understand it's none of my business, but the fact that she never offered is raising red flags. I gave him some things to think about and maybe discuss with her, like what would happen if he loses his job, or for some reason an illness or accident. He had to stop working. I told him that I have nothing against their arrangement and him spoiling her, but he has to be wiser about his spending habits. Third, I explained the importance of a prenup and said that I had one with his mom and his stepmother. He still refuses to because according to him, quote, it might offend her. Again, raising some flags, so I'll stick to my decision and release his trust fund when he's 30, as we initially agreed upon. He was not happy about this one. Lastly, I asked what kind of wedding they plan to have realistically, and they felt the need to use his trust fund. Apparently, she dreams to have a massive, big ol' wedding on the beach. She also wants to have a photo and video production to announce their engagement like an MTV Music Award, which I find ridiculous. They want it this year, but can't afford it, as she's only paying for the wedding dress, and my son admitted that he doesn't have a lot of savings, probably from going on expensive dates and trips. I told him that it's not practical, but if they really want it, they should wait and save up for it. At that point, I was feeling better about my decision to not release his trust fund early. The way I see it, my son could go broke in a few years paying for everything and spoiling his fiancée. Their trust fund's the last thing all my kids will get from me. That being said, I may be an a-hole, but not a total a-hole, to not support his wedding. My wife and I agreed to give them a certain amount that should cover a nice venue, and still have some leftover amount left for other expenses. It'll be our wedding gift to them, and if he's still not happy, then there's nothing more I can do. If they go no contact or low contact, I'd still feel at peace with my decision. I provided for him, and I tried to protect him. If she leaves him and he ends up losing everything, I'd hate for that to happen, but that's on him. But I do hope their marriage works out. Alright guys, I want to read a couple comments on this one before we hop to story 2. I love my husband, but I also know how people get when things go sour, and how we know enough about each other to be each other's worst enemy. Know the right buttons to push and so on. Yeah, says comment 2. People can go very bad when things go sour. When I told my now ex-husband I wanted a divorce, he responded by mixing up my medication so I would overdose. I almost died. Yeah, he turned into my worst enemy, and I'm so happy he's my ex. And final comment replies to that and says, holy moly, that's extreme. I'm so glad that he did not succeed in his awful plan and that you're away from him now. Okay guys, so let me know if you've ever been in any position like that or anything you want to share about the story. And now we're going to look at story 2. Am I the a-hole for moving out because I don't want to help my boyfriend out with rent? It sounds bad, but let me explain. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years. We live in New York City and he makes over $200,000 a year, while I'm studying for my master's in social work and I have no income. Right now, I'm doing an unpaid year-long internship 3 days a week, as well as classes 2 days a week. It's rare to get a paid internship in social work, plus internships are mandatory. I spend 12 hours every day either working, studying, commuting, or in class. My only free days are on weekends, so I have no time for a paid job. My mom helps me financially by paying for my Metro card and healthcare expenses, but everything else I rely for loans. Before I moved in with my boyfriend, there was a roach infestation in my apartment, so I'd stay over at his place a lot. My lease was ending soon, so he asked me if I wanted to live with him. At first, I joked with him that his living standards would go down since I can't afford a nice place, but he insisted on paying the rent until I finished grad school. Then we would split the rent based on income. I originally wanted to live in a cheaper place in Queens or Brooklyn, but my boyfriend likes his current place and insisted I moved in, since he would be the one paying the rent. So, what do? I moved into his $5,000 a month luxury condo in the city in August. All of a sudden, my boyfriend recently started asking me to pay half the rent. I was confused because he was the one who wanted to pay the rent in full. Apparently, he was talking to his friends, and they all think it's weird that I don't pay rent and that I'm truly just a gold digger. I let my boyfriend know that I can't afford a $2.5K a month, and he said I was leeching off him. So I told him that he should find someone within his social class so he doesn't have to worry about a gold digger like me leeching off him. I stayed at my friend's place for a few days while figuring out what to do. I called my mom about my situation and she's willing to help me out, but the maximum she can afford for rent's $800. Well, I found some places in Queens with the price range less than 15 minutes away from the city and a bus ride away from my school. So I went to check them out a couple days ago. I've been texting the landlord and my new roommates, and I've already signed the lease. I told my boyfriend about my new place. He got upset and asked me to stay. He said that he was willing to accept $800 a month instead of $2.5, if that's all I can afford. But I told him I don't want him changing his mind again and demanding more money from me in the future. He lived in this condo alone for several years, so it's not like he can't afford to live here without my help. I wouldn't mind splitting rent with him, but I would have to live in a more affordable place, outside of Manhattan like I want to. Apparently, some of our mutual friends think I'm being unreasonable for moving out instead of taking to him and just talking it out, staying by and paying the amount I can't afford in rent, and that I shouldn't have let him pay my portion anyways. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. So there's an update. Actually, there's two updates for the story. The first one's only a couple sentences, though, so we'll jump into that now. Yeah, I dumped him. I blocked him and his idiot friends on everything. My friends also blocked him since he tried to contact me through them. I'm going to enjoy being single and never relying on a man financially ever again. Update number 2. I'm going to make a few clarifications since a lot of you are confused and clearly aren't familiar with NYC. Yes, it's possible to find a room for $800 in Queens when you have several roommates, but my room is small as crap, has no AC, which obviously isn't an issue, but will be in the summer, and is above a restaurant, which means I'll probably have rodent roomies. My current roommate told me that they did have a rat problem in the past, but it's supposedly fixed. However, knowing these mutant city rats, I know they'll come back. But this is the best I can do for now. It's just some new bright-eyed transplant who thinks NYC is the only trendy and rich parts of Manhattan. So I know where to look. In general, New York City landlords have a 40x rent rule. Landlords that accept guarantors follow the 80x rule. But some landlords are more lenient when it comes to students. My landlord's son is also an alumni of the school I'm currently attending and is from the same cultural ethnic background as me, which probably gave me some leverage along with the fact that my mom meets the 80x requirement. It also took me a week to find my current place. I just started my 2-year MSW program this September. I finished undergrad 2.5 years ago and worked full-time before starting my master's degree. So yes, I did have a job and paid my way, which was $1,000 a month in a rent roach-infested apartment in Queens that I shared with a roommate. I obviously don't have time to work now due to my schedule. My place was not rent stabilized. I'm confused as to how some of you came to this conclusion. But anyways, it was cheap because it was a crappy place and no one wants to live there. And finally, last part of the update, yes, my ex does make that much money. It's New York City. He's been in the workforce for 5 years, and people here make way more money than they would in whatever town you guys are from, especially in this field. It was initially shocking to me that someone with just a bachelor's could earn that much while contributing absolutely nothing to society, but I guess that's life. Anyways, yeah, we broke up. That's all the update really entails. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a great day. Okay, so a lot of comments are ticked off at the boyfriend of the story. Here's one of them. He would have taken $800. Still, treated her like a gold digger and tries to make her a maid. This is one comment who replies to that and says, I'm also willing to bet that he conveniently forgot to mention to his friends he invited her to live with him and told her she didn't have to pay after she said no the first time. And final comment says, or his friends just never let it go. I've known people like this. It's one reason I changed careers out of what's now high-speed trading, full of people whose only value is money and are complete jerks. I'm willing to trade money for happiness, so I just did not fit in. So guys, let me hear your thoughts on this story. If you enjoyed today's 2-story content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.